It's the Chronicles of a Gooner, and we are live. I've just had to chuck the dog out very, very quickly before we started the live stream of Arsenal's first official pre-season game, if you want to call it that. The Gunners have already played, of course, behind the closed doors, but they're in action very, very shortly against AC Milan out in Singapore, and we're going to take you through every single of the game. Yeah, you might have heard me asking the dog to leave the room. Out! I cried as I was just about to go live, and the dog, of course, walked in. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, we've got loads and loads to cover today. Of course, it's going to be a pretty long stream, I'd imagine. We're going to cover the entire game, and we're going to do our post-match podcast, maybe as part of the same stream, or we'll see. We might stop the stream and start again to cover it post-match. But as I say, we're going to take you through every single kick of the game. Lots of you asking if we're going to show the game. We can't show the game. The game is behind a paywall on Arsenal.com. You can buy a match pass for $6.99 for today's game on Arsenal.com, or you can buy a pre-season pass that will cover you for all of the friendlies. That is $14.99. I would say if you're going to watch at least 2 games, it is worth it. If you bought it yesterday, you'd have got the pass for about a tenner. So, yeah, I think that is the way to attack it if you are looking to sit down and enjoy the preseason games. Now, obviously, we're not touring the US this time. The Gunners are, of course, out in the Far East. I guess the good thing about this is that the kickoff times are a lot more reasonable and fit into our schedules a lot better than those kind of middle of the night ones. So, yeah, that I'm pleased that we get to sit here at lunchtime and cover these games. I've made myself a whole pot of tea. I'm ready to go. As I say, we're going to take you through every single kick of the game here on the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel. We're going to bring you a sort of radio-style commentary. If you want to watch the game as well, put the game on. Stick the game on, mute it, have a listen to my sort of coverage if you're interested in that. If not, I understand. But yeah, everybody that's here, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming along. And yeah, I quite enjoy preseason games because I get to do these. And I don't normally get to do them because I'm normally at the game. So to be in a setting where I can bring you coverage of the full game, I'm quite excited about it. I am wary, though, of this, right? Because I always get really excited and giddy for preseason. I don't know about you guys, but I get really, really excited just because I'm starved of football. I'm desperate to see the Arsenal in action again. But invariably, sort of like 20, 30 minutes into the game, you're like, this is quite bad, isn't it? This is quite dull. So, yeah, I'm just wary that might happen. It is the first official game of this preseason tour. Let's talk a little bit about the starting lineup then that Mikel Arteta has picked. So Arsenal line up like this. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Calafiori and Zinchenko are the defence, with Norgaard, Rice and Nwaneri in the midfield. Saka, Martinelli and Havertz are the front three. So a couple of interesting bits of team news there. First one is Calafiori starting at left centre-back. That's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how he gels with William Saliba, of course. I'm not expecting there to be too many problems for those two players today. I think this is a Milan side that had a really poor season last year. Have lost a couple of important players over the course of the summer already. So we'll see, whether they're put to the test. But interesting to see Calafiori there. Interesting to see Zinchenko at left back, I think, too, because there's been a lot of speculation about his future already this summer. Will he stay? Will he go? Are Arsenal putting him in the shop window, or is he very much part of the plan still? Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see. There is no Gabriel and there is no Jurriën Timber. Those two have been left out as a precaution, as both of them continue their rehabilitations after, of course, long injuries, serious injuries that required surgery as well. I think some of you are saying that it's on Astro Sports, I think, or Arsenal.com behind the paywall. Just responding to some questions I'm getting in the live chat about where you can watch the game, of course. Yeah, so that's an interesting bit of team news. No Gabriel, no Timber. Those two are both still going through their kind of rehabilitation process. I know that Gabriel played a part, of course, in the behind closed door games against Watford, I should say. So he is back, but obviously not willing to take a risk. Arsenal, maybe he's felt something, maybe he's a little bit tight, I don't know, but they've decided not to use him in this game, so he's not in the squad. Neither is Yuri and Timber. Other bits of interesting team news: Norgaard gets the start, we think, at the 6, and he's going to get an opportunity to work alongside Declan Rice for the first time. Ethan Nwaneri, who's freshly agreed that new contract with Arsenal, he is in the starting 11. Saka and Martinelli, the two wingers, and obviously Kai Havertz will play up front. But of course, the incoming Victor Gyökeres is likely to take that role on as we sort of build up towards our season. So yeah, there's lots to see. Interesting substitutes bench as well. Kepa Arrizabalaga makes his first appearance for the Arsenal in a squad on the bench. There's 2 other goalkeepers on the bench too, Setford and Rojas. We've got Nichols, Kivior, Salmon, Lewis Skelly as options for the defence. Zubimendi, Lokonga, Copley, Marino, Dowman, Odegaard are all on the bench as well. Kabia too. And we've got Trossard along with Harriman Anous as well. So will we get to see Max Dowman come on? Will we see Max Dowman play a part in this game? Who knows? If you are watching us live on X at the moment, come over to the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel and give us a subscribe. It really, really does help. And leave a like on the video as well. Apparently, some of you are saying that the game is on CBS as well. So you can check it out there. Go and have a look if you've got access to those channels, if you're in a part of the world where you've got access to those channels. But remember, mute it and listen along to us. We have got the sort of crowd FX in the background. Can you guys hear that just about coming through? I don't want it to be too overwhelming, but we want to have a little bit of atmosphere on the stream as well as we take you through the entirety of this game. Arsenal versus AC Milan, coming from the Singapore National Stadium. The Gunners are, of course, going to be wearing their new away strip, the blue, which is going to be interesting. I like it. It's not my favorite away strip, but it's better than some of the ones. It's better than that awful bright yellowy, luminous yellow coloured one that we had a couple of seasons ago. I really, really didn't like that one, if I'm being honest with you. Look, the players are in the tunnel, so we're almost ready to get underway here at the Singapore National Stadium. Arsenal taking on Milan. As I say, some of you saying that the crowd volume could go up a little bit. Shall we have a little tinker with that now before we start, rather than messing about once we get into it? Where are we at? Is that a bit better? Let's turn it up to there. Let's see. Plenty of supporters in attendance. Arsenal do have a huge following in this part of the world, and it's been a while since Arsenal have visited this part of the world. Of course, the Gunners have been carrying out their pre-season tours in the United States. Makes sense. Big supportership and fan base there as well. But of course, on top of that, the Gunners are US owned. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the crowd respond to the players here this afternoon. It's evening time. I think it's 7:30 p.m. local time over in Singapore. Lots of red and white shirts in the crowd. Plenty sporting that new kit as well that was officially launched in Singapore, I think, just the other night. Having a quick look at the Arsenal bench. Good to see Reece Nelson there as well. Might not be an Arsenal player by the end of this transfer window, I think it's fair to say, but good to see him back fit, back available, and back in with a shout of playing a part. So yeah, lots to look forward to today. Look, it is a shame that we don't have our striker in place. It is a shame that we can't get a good look at Noni Madueke as well, because I know it's a signing that's divided opinion, but we're going to have to get behind him and support him. There's no question about that, and I'm sure the Arsenal faithful will do that. These are the Milan supporters that you can see on your screen now if you are watching the game. They've got themselves a little bit of a tifo. I mean, there's not even barely enough of them to hold it up. We've got the big Mikel Arteta Vamos banner. It's by no means a full house in the Singapore National Stadium, but it is a huge ground. Do you know what? Let me Google what the capacity of it. Hold on, Singapore National Stadium capacity, because it looks a big old ground. I'm told it's very warm there as well. 55,000. I mean, you're going to be hard pushed, wouldn't you, to sell out a friendly with 55,000 pretty much on the other side of the world. I know we're massive and I know we've got a lot of support, but yeah, it's not quite the full house, but a pretty solid turnout. Lots of people in the chat letting others know where you can watch the game, and I'm not trying to stop people watching the game. If you want to watch it, by all means, go over and check it out. If you are at work and you're listening and wanting a little bit of sort of radio style commentary to this game, stay with us. Also, you can mute the game and listen to us if you prefer to do so as well. If I could ask before we get into the thick of the match itself, don't forget to leave a like on the video. If you haven't done so already, give us a subscribe as well on the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel. That really, really does help. If you're with us on X, come over to the YouTube channel and yeah, get involved. People saying, oh, you're not streaming the game. We can't stream the game for copyright reasons, but we are going to bring you full radio commentary of this one. It is Arsenal versus AC Milan, and the two teams make their way out onto the field of play. Milan all in white, Arsenal all in dark blue. Bukayo Saka leading out the Gunners. He's wearing the armband. Martin Odegaard is on the bench today, but doesn't start. Ben White also in the starting lineup, which is good to see. He had so many injury issues last season. It was horrible to see him go through that. A player that is so reliable normally just had a really difficult season last year. And listen, I don't know if everybody agrees with this, but I don't think it's a given that he walks back into the team next season at right back. You know, Jurrien Timber had such a fantastic campaign. I wouldn't blame Mikel Arteta if once Timber's fit, he gets the opportunity. But I think it's almost worked out kind of well for us in that when Timber is needing to go through this rehabilitation, he had a surgery at the end of the season, Ben White is back available, and that means that we don't have to put too much pressure on Jurrien Timber to come back quickly, because he definitely played at points last season when he wasn't ready to. Quick run through the Arsenal team again. Raya in goal. We've got Saliba and Calafiori at centre-back, with White and Zinchenko at right and left-back. Christian Norgaard starts in the midfield alongside Declan Rice, or as the 6, with Rice playing as a bit of an 8. We're going to see how that pans out. Will Arteta make a slight tweak to the shape of the midfield? We're going to keep a close eye on that. Ethan Nwaneri also starts as part of that midfield trio. And then you've got Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli playing on the two flanks. And we've got Kai Havertz leading the line for Arsenal. There is over 3,500 with you, with us, I beg your pardon, via X and, of course, YouTube right now. So thank you so much for your support. For Milan, it's Terracciano in goal, Tomori, Tior, Pavlovic, Bartasaghi, Yunus Musa, Rafael Leao, Pulisic. They make up that 11. In fact, do you know what? Let me bring up the Milan 11 so that I've got that in front of me. Janssen Fu from Singapore is the referee for this one. Hold on a second. Let's bring up that Arsenal, that Milan lineup, I should say. The Arsenal one, I don't need it. We're pretty okay with that. Team I cover every single week. I don't have any problems identifying the players. It would be helpful. I should have done this before, really, but I was so focused on getting the tech stuff right, and I haven't even managed to do that because, of course, my microphone is playing silly games, which it has been doing a bit recently. It seems to go through phases, doesn't it? Those of you that listen regularly will know exactly what I'm talking about. So it looks like it's going to be a kind of back three for Milan, with Terracciano in goal. As I say, Tomori, Tior and Pavlovic will probably be the three centre-halves, with Bartasaghi and Salamakers playing in the wide positions. Samuele Ricci, Yunus Musa and Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the middle, with Christian Pulisic and Rafael Leao in attack. So we're about to get underway in the Singapore National Stadium. They're calling this the Singapore Festival of Football. Mikel Arteta wearing a very casual black t-shirt rather than that black jumper that he wears with the grey trousers pretty much every week. But it's Arsenal who are going to kick us off, and they roll it back nice and early to David Raya, who'll play it short to Ricardo Calafiori. Arsenal's pre-season tour of the Far East is officially underway now. Here's Zinchenko tucking in from that left-back position, lays it off nice and short to Christian Norgaard, who gets his first touch in an Arsenal shirt. Here's Saka on the right-hand side for the Gunners, looking to take on the wing-back, looking to make something happen, looking to dance in between a couple of Milan defenders. Pavlovic was back there, was being supported by Pulisic on that occasion as well. William Saliba with a defensive header back to halfway. Calafiori has a quick look over his shoulder and then just rolls it back to David Raya. Saliba will put his foot on it. Square ball inside to Ricardo Calafiori. Just shifts it out of his feet. The Italian has his hair tied up. Brought into Arsenal last summer. Played the majority of his minutes last season in that, of course, left-back role, but he's doing a slightly different one this time around. Here is Zinchenko. Back inside to Calafiori on halfway for Arsenal. Now it's with Ben White, just inside his own half. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on X, come over to the Chronicles of Aguna YouTube channel. There's no reason why by the end of this we shouldn't have about 1,000 odd likes. So get those likes in as Calafiori looks to play in behind the fullback. It was Salamakas there who had tucked in. Martinelli had made the run in beyond him, and it was Fikayo Tomori on the stretch who prevented that developing into something for Arsenal. Massimiliano Allegri stands on the touchline with his arms folded. The Milan coach. Nwaneri commits a foul. About 10 or so yards from the halfway line. Here is Terracciano, the Milan goalkeeper, with the ball at his feet. He's on the penalty spot. He'll clip it out to the left-hand side. Bartasaghi will knock it infield. Pulisic helps it on one more. Milan looking to generate an attack here with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He works it out to the right-hand side for Salamakas. Skips past Martinelli and then goes past Zinchenko and rolls it inside. And that's a shot towards goal by Rafael Leao that was charged down. It's bouncing around just outside the Arsenal penalty area. Milan pick it back up with Pulisic, but Arsenal have bodies back behind the ball now and are able to defend the situation. Here's Salamakas on that far side for Milan. Rolls it inside to Malik Thiaw. Pavlovic goes back to his goalkeeper, having had some pressure applied to him by Bukayo Saka. That's a heavy touch from Salamakas. Martinelli picks it up inside to Kai Havertz. Now it's with Declan Rice about midway through the Milan half, out to the right for Ben White, who eventually brought it under control. He had to stretch late. Lets Saka take over on the corner of the Milan box. He goes back to Christian Norgaard, the former Brentford man, signed by the Gunners this summer. I have to say, it's not a signing that I was massively excited about at the time. I think the more I look into him and the more I think about the reasons Arsenal made that move, the more I understand the logic behind it. I mean, to get a Premier League captain, which Christian Norgaard was at Brentford, for around about £10 million in terms of the upfront fee, that's pretty good going. Zinchenko, lovely bit of skill to shake off Rafael Leao and then works it left to Calafiori, who's high and wide on the left, despite playing at centre-back here this evening, or this afternoon if you're joining us in the UK. Declan Rice's shot from distance. He gets underneath that and it goes high and wide. Nothing to concern Terracciano in the Milan goal. 4.5 minutes played. We're into the 5th minute. And it is Arsenal 0, Milan 0. Declan Rice with a lovely turn on the edge of the box. And you could see what he was trying to do. He just tried to open up his body and bend it towards the top corner. But he got his angles wrong. Didn't quite make the contact he would have hoped for with the ball. That's worked into Havertz on the edge of the box. Plays it in behind for Bukayo Saka, who can't get there ahead of Terracciano, who came out and just pounced on it on the edge of his 6-yard box. Pretty good goalkeeping by Pietro Terracciano there. Here's Rafa Leao coming down the left-hand side for Milan. Works it inside. It was just behind Pulisic. Norgaard will clean up. Now Nwaneri into Rice in that left 8 position, who will make a charge out towards the left-hand side, crosses the halfway line for Arsenal, and then looks to step inside of Samuele Ricci's challenge. Norgaard has it now, just in front of the centre circle for Arsenal, works it right to Ben White, and then the Dane gets it back. Lovely ball through the lines into Ethan Nwaneri. Nice little drop of the shoulder, always looking to work it onto that left foot, just lays it off short to Declan Rice, and Nwaneri has it back now. Norgaard back short to Riccardo Calafiori. Out to the left-hand side it goes for Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli was fouled there, just to the left of the Milan penalty area. Salamaca's not happy with the decision. Waves his hand as if to say, get up, to Gabriel Martinelli. We'll get another look at the challenge now. He just stepped on the top of Martinelli's foot in that kind of metatarsal area. Brazilian still down. Sure, he'll be okay. Just a sore one. There's nearly 1,000 of you with us live on YouTube at the moment. If you haven't done so already, please do leave a like on the video. It really, really does help. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are brand spanking new. All of that stuff really, really does help. We'll take some of your questions and some of your thoughts as well during the half-time break. It's an Arsenal corner from the left-hand side. Declan Rice has become something of an expert at these. Will whip it in, right-footed in towards the near post. I think it was Tomori who got something on it. It will come through to the left-back position for Milan, where it's picked up by Bartasaghi. Now it's with Ricci in the midfield. He goes back to Thiaw. Lovely ball through the lines. That Loftus-Cheek gets there ahead of Bukayo Saka, who was out on Arsenal's left-hand side there. Was there just a temporary switch of sides, or was that as a result of the corner? I think that's probably what it was. Here's Rice. Now Zinchenko. Calafiori. Back inside to William Saliba. Just inside the Milan half at the moment, Arsenal. Ben White plays it down the line to Bukayo Saka, forced to play it back into the feet of Ben White. Just sweeps it inside to William Saliba on that occasion. He then uses Riccardo Calafiori, who was up and alongside him. Zinchenko loses out, and then Loftus-Cheek looks to break away for Arsenal, but he was just stopped in his tracks by Riccardo Calafiori there. He concedes a free kick. Loftus-Cheek more than happy, I think, to take the free kick. Just get another look at it. Loftus-Cheek just managed to get his body in between Calafiori and the ball, and as Calafiori sort of made a move towards it, he just made enough contact with the Milan player for him to win that free kick. Riccardo Calafiori, no stranger, of course, to facing Italian opposition. It's a long ball up from Milan towards Rafa Leao. Saliba watched it, managed to deal with it. Norgaard then tried to play it forward, but gave it away to Musa. Rafa Leao with a lovely ball in behind the Arsenal right back. Musa will get there just inside the Milan box, pings it to the edge of the area where Rafa Leao was arriving. Here is Bartasaghi, now Musa again on the left-hand side for Milan. Arsenal have a line back of 6. And then Norgaard steps into the midfield to make it a 5 with that extra layer of protection just in front. And it's very, very early on in pre-season, but Arsenal's desire to get back behind the ball as a team very much on display as Milan whip it into the penalty area, put back across the penalty area by Bartasaghi. It initially came from right to left and he diverted it back into the middle. Arsenal clear in the end through Zinchenko up to halfway where Kai Havertz will battle for it, just loses out to Thiaw in that sort of battle as the ball bounced just inside the Milan half, and the Italians will build from the back. Ethan looks like a man now. One of the comments coming through. Does look a little bit bulkier, doesn't he? Which is good to see. There's no question about his technical ability. It's always, I guess, just a question about how he developed physically and how that would help him improve as a player. Lots of you commenting on the kit. I've got to say, like, sometimes I look at shirts in pictures and I'm not a massive fan, but once I see them being worn, I think that's when I can make my judgment. And I will hold my hands up and say this kit is a lot nicer than I originally thought it was. I still prefer yellow away Arsenal kits. I'm a traditionalist like that. But yeah. Arsenal have had 71% of the possession so far. Completed 75 passes with a 96% accuracy rate. As Arsenal pick it up and work it forward through Bukayo Saka, but that's given away. A couple of you saying that the stream is out of sync with, I guess, your pictures. It's probably a little bit out of sync as well with the clock that I've got on the screen, because I'm borrowing that from Flash Score, but I thought it was better than nothing, just to give those that are tuning in late an idea of where we are in the match, an idea of what the score line looks like. But the timing of it will be a little bit out and will be a little bit different for everybody, because we are live streaming, so you've got to accept that it's going to be a little bit out of sync. From time to time, I can give you an update on the time on my stream, so I'm on 12 minutes and 8 seconds at the minute. That might help if you're seeking to sync up your pictures with our commentary here on the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel. Redemption says it's because Harry's watching the paid link while we're watching the free ones. Yeah, I am watching the paid link. I got suckered in, I've got to say it. Listen, for what it's worth, right, to be completely honest with you, I don't like the fact that Arsenal fans have to pay for these games. I really don't like the fact that season ticket holders and members that already pay something towards the club have to pay for this. It doesn't sit right with me. I know the club needs to make revenue, and I know that if we're all sitting there demanding top signings and all the rest of it, the club has to be run as a business to a point. But I think especially if you've just forked out like 1,200 quid on a season ticket, and that's not me being elitist, by the way, and saying that only we should get it for free. But if you've just, you know, in June paid 1,200 quid, £1,200 to renew your season ticket, I don't think you should be paying for these games. But hey, maybe not everybody agrees with me. I don't know. Here's Declan Rice anyway at the base of the Arsenal midfield. Carries it over the halfway line. Skips past a couple of challenges before sending it out to the right-hand side for Bukayo Saka. Looking to come in off that right flank as always. And there was just a toe in there from Musa that put the ball out of play. And so Arsenal have a throw-in on the right-hand side, pretty much down by the corner flag. Saka to the edge of the box. Norgaard will whip it in towards the far post. Martinelli attacks it. But Salamakas just did enough to kind of just calmly chest it down to his goalkeeper, Terracciano, who was waiting at his near post to collect. Just get another look at that. Norgaard delivering from the corner of the box. It doesn't feel to me like, and it's early in the game, and obviously it's not always easy to sort of map out a formation very, very clearly. Sometimes you look at the formation and you go, Well, hold on a minute. That's not right. On the stream, they've got 48% Arsenal and 52 Milan. There's no way that's true. But it does feel like Norgaard is very much playing as the 6, with Rice playing in that more advanced role. That's a lovely ball in behind that right channel for Bukayo Saka. Gets to the byline, left-footed. Shot back across goal was blocked. Malik Tior came across and closed the door on Bukayo Saka. But that's the first time that Arsenal have been able to release him in behind that Milan defence. They take the corner short. Back to Saka. That was slightly overhit, that pass by Kai Havertz, which was meant to be the little give and go. Arsenal win it back through Nwaneri. Now Havertz carries it towards the edge of the box. Left-footed shot. Closed down. It almost ran for Nwaneri, who had just made a run beyond him. But in the end, Musa uses his body strength and just bumps the Arsenal man off the ball before Milan work it out of that defensive area. Thank you so much to everybody who is live with us across the multiple platforms at the moment, because there are nearly 5,000 of you with me live right now across X and across our YouTube channel, which is amazing. If you are, though, joining us on X, come over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, leave a like on the video, and you'll get access to all our Arsenal coverage throughout the course of the season. And there's going to be plenty of it. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. Daily Arsenal shows, Patreon video analysis pieces. There's a link to a load of them in the live chat box at the moment. As Ethan Nwaneri pings this out to the left-hand side. He was looking for Martinelli. He puts his hands on his head, though, straight away there, Ethan Nwaneri, because he knew that he got that completely wrong. Wearing the number 22, by the way, Ethan Nwaneri. Not the 53 that he previously wore. Just pouring myself a bit of tea. I had to make a whole one of these to get me through the entire game. Milan throw in at right back. Salamaka's short. Musa hooks it on. Calafiori will pick it up just inside the Milan half, out on that left-hand side. Joe Musashi says, biscuits, Harry? Surely? No, it's I'm actually having a Turkish-style tea. Like a Middle Eastern type tea. As Saka comes down the right-hand side, gets to the byline. Right-footed ball flashed across the 6-yard box. Helped away by the defender. Arsenal come again down the right with Ben White on the corner of the box. Into Saka. Did he stray offside? I think he did. For those of you in the US, apparently the game is on CBS. If you're looking for it, that's where you'll be able to find it. If you're at work or struggling to find the stream or struggling to access the game, stay with us here on the Chronicles of Aguna. You will not miss a kick. You will not miss a kick. For those of you wishing to sync up with us, we're on 17 minutes and 45 seconds. Has Bukayo Saka committed a foul there to win the ball back? He has. The foul was on Pavlovic. Milan man had it on the edge of his box. A high five exchange between him and Bukayo Saka. I think Saka knew that he'd just gone around the player and tripped him up in his attempt to win the ball. Here is Pavlovic into midfield, intercepted by Calafiori, who's stepped forward from centre-back. Now Saliba will clean up on the right-hand side for Arsenal after Milan temporarily won it back. Saka into Norgaard. Back out right to Saka, back inside to Norgaard it goes. Ed says it'll take us time to adjust. Ed said it'll take us time to adjust to Nwaneri's number 2. Absolutely, man. Like, I'm struggling to get used to it. Like, when the game started and I saw him running around with the 22 on his back, there was a part of me that was like, who's that? Yeah, it's a new number. Looks very, very different, doesn't it? We've got a Milan goal kick at the moment. Hence my digression. Still goalless between Arsenal and AC Milan. Terracciano about to take this goal kick. Here's Calafiori at left back for Arsenal. It is a sort of left back role that he ends up playing, and I think that's the role that any left-sided Arsenal centre back ends up playing, isn't it, in the end? Because we like to push the left back into midfield, and that means that the defence has to kind of extend and open a little bit. And obviously Calafiori, who, as I said earlier, played the majority of his minutes for Arsenal last season as a left back, doesn't really have a problem doing that. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Gabriel and Saliba, whenever they're fit, they're pretty much ever present, aren't they? As Nwaneri wriggles free on the right-hand side. We'll come back to that in a minute. Nwaneri's cross comes to Ben White, drives it towards goal. That'll go well wide in the end, though, of Terracciano's right-hand post. But it's interesting, I was just saying, because we've seen so many times sort of Gabriel have to go out and play that role, and we've always seen Calafiori as an option there, but it's never really been a thing. I think in the big games, the biggest of games, when Gabriel's fit and available, he'll play there, but it's nice to know that Calafiori can do it as well. James D says, Harry, help. How do I watch the game? I've paid for my pass on the Arsenal website, but can't find the live match. If you go on the Arsenal website and you log in, there should be an option on the homepage just to watch the match, I think. I'm not sure, but that's how it was for me. It was pretty easy for me. But yeah, it should be on the homepage. You should be able to find it there. I've only got 324 likes on the board, but there's over 1,000 of you at least with us on YouTube. So let's improve on that. That really, really does help. Here is Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side. Lovely ball into Ben White, who made the overlapping run. He stands it up into the penalty area. Dealt with, though, at the near post. Calafiori will try and keep it alive for Arsenal. Zinchenko's cross in from a deep position on that left-hand side. Saka stretching, tries to keep it on, but then Pulisic, who was back helping out, manages to hook away for AC Milan. Here's Declan Rice in the Arsenal midfield. Lays it off to Zinchenko. Early pass into the feet of Gabriel Martinelli. Can he take on Salamakers? Cuts inside of him, rolls it back to Calafiori, who's in field in a very high and advanced position. Zinchenko's delivery charged down by Salamakers. Arsenal throw-in, pretty much in line with the penalty spot, deep inside the AC Milan half. If you've got questions, keep a hold of them. And when we get to half-time, we'll spend that 15-minute period running through a load of them. If I see any in the live chat in the meantime, I will favourite some of them to be able to come back to them. But I would say hold fire on them, because then they won't get lost in the chaos that is the live chat. Just having another look at that situation. Arsenal created a moment or so ago where Nwaneri's shot flashed wide. In the end, I think Terracciano got a hand to it. Arsenal corner. Bukayo Saka's going to take it. Nwaneri won the corner. Saka plays it short. Corner of the box, but it was behind Martinelli. Norgaard has to scramble to retrieve it. Manages to work it to Havertz, though, who's inside the box. Havertz into Nwaneri, trying to turn on a sixpence. Can't quite do it. Did he commit a foul on Malik Thiaw as he came across to deal with the situation? He did. But I think, yeah, Ethan Nwaneri looks a lot stronger, doesn't he? He looks sharp as well. He does. You know, he's got an opportunity, Ethan Nwaneri. I don't think to completely take Martin Odegaard's role on, but to really kind of fight for it, because Odegaard did finish last season way below the level that we know he's capable of. In fact, that was the level he was playing at for most of the campaign. So, you know, you can understand why Ethan Nwaneri will be hungry and will feel like he could take on that position, but he's got to do a bit more off the ball. I think that's where he still needs to improve. In possession, he can be devastating. He's brilliant. But I think there's something maybe just missing off the ball, and that's where he needs to close the gap on Martin Odegaard, in my opinion. Andy says that was a beautiful action. I was like, why is Harry so quiet about it? Yeah, the Nwaneri effort. I think my stream just went a little bit funny for a second because I only caught the replay of it. So, yeah. Nwaneri looks like he's playing on the the right, in the Odegaard position, the right-sided 8 position. For those of you that are asking, I've had a few questions on that so far. 24 minutes and 52 seconds on my clock for those of you wanting to sync up. You are listening to radio-style coverage here on the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel. We'll take you through every single kick of the game. Here's Strahinja Pavlovic for AC Milan, playing on the left side of their back three. Goes into the midfield for Ricci. Pavlovic gets it back, left-footed ball down the line. Pulisic brings it down under control. Ben White sort of closed the door on him coming inside, and then Bukayo Saka managed to intervene as well. Not sure what that decision was in the end. Was it an offside against Pulisic? Because it's been given Arsenal's way. Christian Pulisic was adamant that he was fouled. Maybe he was, but I think the offside flag had gone up already. David Raya comes out to the right of his penalty area to take this. He's going to launch it forward. Saka does battle for it. Still trying to win it back from the Milan defender there, who's under a bit of pressure but has done really, really well. Musa then takes over. He's pretty much on his own byline though here, Musa. He's got to be careful in possession. Works it wide left to Bartasagi, who was holding off Bukayo Saka there for such a long time. He sends it forward. Saliba allows it to bounce. That's flicked on by Loftus-Cheek, and Rafael Leao is in behind William Saliba here. Rafael Leao, the angle was closing all the time, and in the end, Saliba, I thought, got a touch on that to turn it behind for a corner kick. The referee, though, thinks it's a goal kick, and Arsenal, I think, have got away with that there. Bartasagi's ball. Saliba misjudges this, lets it bounce. Calafiori doesn't get there ahead of Loftus-Cheek, who nods it into the path of Rafael Leao, who's very, very quick. In the end, I don't think Saliba got a touch on it, but it certainly felt like he did from the angle that we initially saw it. So correct decision in the end from the referee. And now it's Arsenal's turn to attack down the right. Ben White inside to Kai Havertz, looking to hold it up. Ben White takes over and charges into the box, but a cross came to Mori to cover. Saka picks it up to the right of the Milan penalty area. Has it on his left foot, step over, goes on the outside, right-footed cross, blocked. Now Pavlovic tries to clear, but gives it straight to Ben White. Edge of the box to Ethan Nwaneri, who only needs half a yard, and he just got underneath it. And the ball flies high and wide. That'll be a goal kick despite Ethan Nwaneri's protests. Milan causing their own problems there. They had multiple opportunities to get that clear, and in the end it fell to Nwaneri, who didn't have much time in fairness, but he's so good and quick, isn't he, at sort of shifting his balance and working the ball onto his foot so that he can get an effort off nice and quickly. And invariably his efforts are very, very good. Here is Terracciano. Now Pavlovic. Bartasagi into Rafael Leao, closed down by William Saliba. Play continues despite the Milan man's appeals for a foul. Breaks the Saka on the right-hand side. He's down by the byline here, but it last took a touch off a Milan player, and so he'll let it run out of play, and Arsenal have themselves another corner kick. Be sure to, if you haven't done so already, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're with us covering this game. We'll bring you coverage of all the games in the Far East. The ones in London, I think I'm going to be at them, so that's going to be a problem. But the ones out in the Far East, we will make sure that we cover them here on the Chronicles of a Gooner channel. If you enjoy these, we'll try and bring you some more over the course of the season. That's flicked on at the near post from a low sort of delivery that from Bukayo Saka. Saka's got it back on the corner of the box, trying to carve out the space to either deliver it into the area or get a shot off. Arsenal work it back out right. Calafiori inside to Saka, shifts it onto the left foot, low effort, easy save though for Terracciano down to his right. You can just see, can't you? You can just feel that it's the early stages of pre-season where that, you know, there's some of the sharpness is there, some of the movement's there, some of those habits are coming back to them, but there's just a little bit of a rustiness when it comes to either playing that final pass or getting the shot off. Here's Musa. Milan on the front foot now. Pulisic out on the left-hand side for the Italians, the former Chelsea man, of course. Chelsea are a club that we seem to enjoy doing business with. And he was linked with a move to Arsenal at one stage, Christian Pulisic. Saliba into Norgaard. Just stood his ground there with Musa snapping away at his heels. Back to Saliba. Lovely line-breaking ball that into Ethan Nwaneri. He'll ping it out to the left. Declan Rice will step inside and charges forward. Early ball out to the right into the feet of Bukayo Saka. Havertz making the overlapping run on the outside. Havertz cuts it back and Declan Rice's effort was blocked. That was the sharpest Arsenal move we've seen. Brilliant bit of play from the Gunners. Sweeping counter-attack. Saka just held it up. Havertz made that run from inside to outside and cut it back very accurately to Declan Rice, but just as he went to pull the trigger, he was closed down. The shot was blocked. Milan live to fight another day. Still goalless here in the Singapore National Stadium. We've got a brief pause in play, a drinks break here. Understandably, it is said to be very, very hot out there. Still pretty warm in the UK, incidentally. Mikel Arteta taking the opportunity to have a word with his players, pass on some instructions. I mean, even the coaching staff looks sweaty and they ain't playing the game. So that says a lot, I think, about what the conditions are like out there in Singapore. Max Allegri also taking the opportunity to pass on some instructions to his players. Mikel, very intense it seems, as he always is. I know it's pre-season, I know it's early, but he wants to see as close to perfection as is possible. I'm just going to take the opportunity once more while we're having this break in play to ask you guys, if you haven't done so already, to leave a like on the video if you haven't done so. If you're watching us on X, which lots and lots of you are, about 5,000 of you are, come over to the Chronicles of a Gooner YouTube channel and subscribe. You can also subscribe to the show on Apple, on Spotify, all major podcast stores, and if you fancy it, you can become a Patreon as well, and you'll get access to some of our additional content, some of our bonus content, as well as being a part of the community. We've got a private chat on the Patreon app that we use to discuss all things Arsenal. I used it to bring the guys up to speed and to give them updates. Patrick Byrne says, like the stream. Now get on the BBC for commentary. I think I'm actually doing my first game of the season for BBC on Saturday, I think it is. Just waiting for confirmation, but I think I'm going to a game that involves the local enemy, unfortunately. But they're in action, I think, at Luton Town. Might be covering that one. Sometimes you've got to do these things, eh? It's part of the job. I do like to think that I'm bearable, even for the Spurs fans, on the odd occasion that I cover their games. We are on 34 minutes and 25 seconds for those of you looking to sync up. Here's Norgaard. Saka on the right-hand side for the Gunners, just inside the box. He tried to just work it back to Christian Norgaard, who come forward to support him. It's interesting because Norgaard is playing as the 6, isn't he? But it feels like he's more than willing to kind of make those runs into those right-hand channels. And that allows Nwaneri to get into more central areas. There's a real fluidity about the Arsenal shape at the moment. It's quite interesting to see. Norgaard again is stationed all the way on the right-hand side. Nwaneri just inside of him. Norgaard again. Rolls it inside to William Saliba. Arsenal have got Milan pinned back on the edge of their penalty area at the moment. They can't get out. Here is Riccardo Calafiori midway inside the Milan half. Works it left to Martinelli. Salamakers did well there to stop Martinelli sort of settling on the ball. Concedes a throw-in the process, though. Norgaard. Here's Calafiori. White down the line. Saka has Nwaneri on the outside of him, uses the feet of Havertz instead. Good combination play between the two of them. It broke down just temporarily there, but Havertz did well to pinch it back, and then he looks to go the long way around Bartasagi there and try and make something of it for Arsenal. He fails, but Arsenal do win a throw-in, which Ben White is going to take. Lots of comments in the chat a little bit earlier on about Milan's away kit. People sort of waxing lyrical about it. I've just seen it up close again. I don't really see the fuss, to be honest with you. I don't think it's great. I'm not a fan of Puma kits. Maybe that's to do with it. Here's Norgaard. Out to the right for Ben White. Plays it down the line to Saka. Looking to take on Bartasagi. Skips inside a couple of challenges, does Bukayo Saka. Makes his way to a more central area. Then Norgaard tries to flick it back to him. That move breaks down. Milan look to bring it away, but there's nowhere really for Rafael Leao to go there until he goes through the legs of Ethan Nwaneri with a wonderful bit of skill. And Milan break away now, and Arsenal might be in a little bit of trouble here as Loftus-Cheek with a lovely ball with the outside of his boot finds Salamakers on the right-hand side. He delivers into the penalty area. Calafiori watches it and calmly with the inside of his left boot clears. Milan pick it up again though in midfield and will come again. 37 minutes and 8 seconds on my clock for those of you wishing to sync up. Here is Pavlovic. Now Salamakers. Now Pavlovic again on halfway for the Serie A Giants. Bukayo Saka thought he'd done enough to win Arsenal the throw in there, but the referee says no. It needs to be taken the other way. It was right under the nose of Mikel Arteta, who will always appeal, even if he hasn't got a leg to stand on. He certainly didn't have one there. Here is Pavlovic. Rafael Leao. Now Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Ritchie out to the right-hand side. Milan on the attack. Salamakers on the corner of the Arsenal box. Confronted by Martinelli and Zinchenko. Works it into the feet of Pulisic. Ritchie into Leao. Lovely ball around the corner. Pulisic trying to make room for the shot. Angle's not great. In the end, he was closed down by Riccardo Calafiori, who puts it out behind for a Milan corner kick. Good defending in the end from Arsenal, but they were really sharp in the final third there, Milan. Probably their brightest bit of play. Delivery into the penalty area. Headed away at the near post. Ritchie will pick it up for Milan. He just rolls it back to Musa, who's been forced to backtrack all the way to the halfway line, but it does in the end find Samuele Ritchie. That's put into the penalty area from deep. But it was well gathered by David Raya, who tried to release it early. He was looking for Martinelli, but he's put too much pace on that. And so Malik Thiaw will get there first. Here is Pulisic coming down the left wing now for Milan. Deep inside the Arsenal half. Looks to come inside Ben White. Tees up Salamakers, who swung a left boot at it, but couldn't quite wrap his foot around it. Salamakers coming in off that wide right position and taking up a central position inside the Arsenal area. Pulisic did really well because Ben White tried to stand him up, but he just stepped inside, maybe with a little bit too much ease for Mikel Arteta's liking. Salamakers had made that run from the right into a central position, relatively untracked. Just couldn't execute the shot in the way that he would have liked. Here is Saliba. Zinchenko. Out to the left for Martinelli. Martinelli looking to take on Salamakers. There's an ad on the advertising boards at the moment for some ramen-style noodles. And having not had any lunch, I've got to say that's making me hungry. As Martinelli gets to the byline, tries to pick out a teammate, swept away by Thiaw. First time really, though, that Martinelli's got in behind down that left-hand side. Tomori will just nod the loose ball back to Terracciano. Just asked for calm from his teammates. Over 6,500 of you with us live. Just unbelievable. Can't believe that many people are interested in our coverage of today's game. Honestly, thank you so much for the love and support. I'm not normally a watch-along guy, so to get this kind of numbers on a watch-along is just, for me, is special, so thank you. Bartasaghi. Rafa Leao. Here's Tomori, just inside the Arsenal half. And they work it back to Terracciano in the end. Loftus-Cheek inside the centre circle. Lays it off to Pulisic. Out wide it goes to Salamakers. Was looking for the return ball for Christian Pulisic, who's been, I would say, Milan's liveliest player in terms of just picking up some sort of space in some really dangerous pockets at times and causing Arsenal a few problems with his movement. Havertz wins Arsenal a free kick. He was just pulled back there by Salamakers as he tried to spark an Arsenal counter-attack. Here's Ben White now, just inside the Milan half, on this right-hand side, the near side as we look at it. 43 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. Ben White. Back to William Saliba. Inside to Norgaard. In towards Declan Rice. Move breaks down. It's taken away by Samuele Ricci for Milan, and he works it into Salamakers, who just about crosses the halfway line for Milan before turning back. Uses Ricci's back to Salamakers. Now it goes inside to Musa, about midway through his own half. Has to roll it back to Fikayo Tomori at right centre-back for the Rossoneri. Here's Musa now again at the base of the Milan midfield. Lovely ball into Loftus-Cheek. Pings it out to the left-hand side for Bartasaghi. Back inside to Loftus-Cheek. Another one with a Chelsea connection. Question from Redemption: why don't you do more watch-alongs? I don't do Arsenal watch-alongs because I tend to be at the games, covering the games with sort of some of my other commitments. So for that reason, like it's difficult for me to commit to them. I suppose I could try and do a few away games, some of the away European games. Whenever I'm available, if I can, I will. If I know that people want them and I know that people are interested in them, I'll do them. And I don't mind doing other teams' games if you guys would be interested in some of those that maybe have an impact on us. As Martinelli makes his way inside the box, gets the shot off, takes a deflection, and just trickles wide of Terracciano's left-hand post, promising break that from the Gunners. It was Kai Havertz who won it back into the midfield. He played it into the path of Martinelli. And he just went to get the shot off. It was a block just in the nick of time. Bukayo Saka slowly makes his way over to the right-hand side to take this corner for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. Saka plays it short to the corner of the box. Martinelli picks it up, goes back to Saka. Saka on the byline, right-footed cross towards the far post. Calafiori's header. Terracciano can't get there. Pavlovic clears, and then White takes it on the chest and volleys towards goal, but it was blocked. Calafiori, I think, was looking to let that run out of play and win Arsenal another corner, but Fikayo Tomori was there. Strong, powerful. Prevented the Arsenal man from getting his body in front of it, and now Milan come away with possession. Pulisic was fouled there, just shy of the halfway line, and so Milan have themselves a free kick. Hacker says, is Kai as big as the photoshopped photo? I don't think it's photoshopped, mate. Look at the size of the guy. He looks like an absolute unit. And I know there's been loads of excitement about Victor Gyökeres coming in, and rightly so, and this idea of Arsenal getting that more kind of traditional, formidable number 9. But let me tell you this, Kai Havertz is still going to have a massive role to play at Arsenal. And there it is, the half-time whistle here at the Singapore National Stadium. It's Arsenal 0, Milan 0 at the break. Will we see changes at half-time? I'm pretty sure we will. Who will come on? Who will be replaced? We'll have to wait and see. But we'll bring you up to date with all of that, and we'll give you all of that information as soon as we know it. Right, listen, let's get some of your questions from the live chat. I'm going to take a very, very, very short break. I don't really want to do it because I don't want to impact the stream. I'm not ashamed to say nature is calling. So I'm going to set a 2-minute timer on the stream for you guys to get your questions in. Start chucking them in the chat box. Don't leave the stream. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you leave a like. If you haven't done so already, this is your perfect opportunity to do so. If you're watching us on YouTube, smash that like button. It really, really does help. If you're watching us on X, come over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We'd love to have you. But yeah, really, really short pause. 2-minute break, literally a 2-minute break. I'll be back, and then we will run through a load of your questions until the second half begins. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Chronicles of a Gooner podcast.
You're listening to the Chronicles of a Gooner. Like and subscribe.
That's right. You're listening to the Chronicles of a Gooner. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Is he going to make it? People were saying when I set that 2-minute timer. Bobby says, "Don't pee in your pants, mate." I was never going to do that. I'll tell you what, though. The older I get, the more out of breath I end up when I sprint from the back of the garden all the way into the house, up the stairs to use the bathroom, and then come back down and run back to my starting position. We are going to take your questions in just a minute, but there have been a few comments throughout the stream asking a little bit about what we do on the Patreon side of things. So what I'm going to do, seeing as we are during halftime, is I'm going to share with you guys a very short clip from one of our scouting videos. I'm going to share you guys a clip in which we looked at Christian Norgaard over on Patreon, because of course he is playing today. So here's a very quick preview of what we do over on the Patreon side of things here on the Chronicles of a Gooner, and then we're going to spend the rest of halftime taking your questions from the live chat, so keep them coming. For someone like Christian Norgaard, this is what I'm more interested in. You know, what can he do moving forward? I know he can defend, I know he can destroy, I know he can break up play, but in our case, we're going to be in a lot of situations where we're trying to break opposition down and not vice versa. And so, yes, you know, hopefully he can help us be a little bit more transition resistant. We tend to face transitional teams nowadays, and if he can do that, that'll be great. But I think for me, the big question mark is what can he give us going forward? And here you're seeing him fight back, prevent danger. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing him win the ball here high up and then laying it off to the likes of Brian and Bumo, who's also on his way out of Brentford, by the way. I fear for them, I have to say, losing him, losing Norgaard, and having already lost Thomas Frank as well. Here he is picking the pocket and then just helping it into the path of a Danish teammate here again. Look, he watches the run from outside to in, just anticipates and picks his moment as to when to kind of bite. There you go. That was a preview of the type of thing we do over on the Patreon side of things. So if you're interested in subscribing to the Chronicles of a Gooner on Patreon, you can do so via the links in the description. Okay, I guess a good place to start our halftime coverage is to give you some very brief thoughts on what I thought of that first half. I don't think there's much really to ride home about, if I'm being honest with you. I think if I run through the team very, very quickly, standout players, I think Ricardo Calafiori's looked really solid at left centre-back. I think he's looked the more assured of the two centre-halves so far this afternoon. Christian Norgaard has given the ball away a couple of times in that first half, but I think he's still adjusting to what we do. He's still adjusting to having new players around him. So I'm not going to judge him particularly harshly on that. Ethan Nwanery's looked sharp, looked lively in that kind of Martin Odegaard type role. So I've quite enjoyed seeing him come to life on the edge of the box a couple of times. Saka looks pretty sharp, just maybe missing that final touch, that final pass, final ball. Kai Havertz looks like an absolute machine these days. And I think, although we haven't scored yet and found the breakthrough, and although you can't really read into these pre-season games too much, I think my takeaway from probably that first half is that although we're all excited, very, very excited about Victor Gyökeres coming in, we've still got another very, very good option in Kai Havertz. So really, really excited about that. Ben Excel says, what's that background crowd noise I'm hearing, Has? We've got crowd effects. Yes, we've gone up a level on the Chronicles of a Gooner. Took me a while to figure out how to do it. I have done it in the past and it hasn't worked very well, but I think it's working okay this time, which is good. So thank you for that. Right, let's get some of your questions then, shall we, from the live chat. I'm just going to pick a few at random. Redemption says, what number do you want Gyökeres to get? I don't really mind. Ideally you give him the 9, but I don't think they're going to strip that away from Gabby Jesus at this point. I don't know, maybe give him is the 14 available? I want to say that the 14's available. Maybe give Victor Gyökeres the 14. I don't know. He might have a number in mind. He might have a number that he's got some kind of affiliation to. Honestly, I'm not that bothered. Just get him in the team. Get him smashing the ball into the back of the net. Get him playing at centre forward and giving us that extra dynamic. And that's all I'm interested in, really, to be honest with you. Manic Bean says, do you think the clubs that competed in the Club World Cup in the USA will be affected by essentially having no prolonged break or pre-season, or will it invigorate them? It's a really interesting question. I don't think it will impact them too much at the beginning of the season. I know they're going to have shorter pre-seasons, but they won't have lost as much of their sharpness and fitness because they only stopped playing football, like, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So for that reason, I think that, they probably don't need as long a pre-season, but I think you'll see the effects and the impacts of that probably a lot later down the line. Probably when you get to Christmas time, when the schedule gets really kind of hectic and stuff. I think around that point you might end up looking at it and going, yeah, you know what? It's sort of the long season. It's starting to take its toll. But we'll have to wait and see. Manic Bean says, do you ever wee in the garden? It's good for the grass and would save you time going upstairs. Is it good for the grass? Look, if I'm being completely honest, if I got caught short, I would consider it, but not with a wife at home, mate. You don't want to get told off for that. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, you don't want that. I'm just responding to some messages from my old man about where he can watch the game. If I don't respond to him, he'll never find it. What else have we got? James Mace says, Nwaneri weirdly looks better to me playing at this level than he did playing for the England under-21s. Definitely some real talent there, and I hope he gets some decent playing time this season. Yeah, I mean, again, like, you're playing with better players around you, aren't you? And I think that obviously makes a difference. I think having top-tier and top-level players around you is always going to make you look better. The things that you try are more likely to come off with top talents around you. And I think, he feels at home at Arsenal. He knows the system. He understands the role. He understands the position. And I think for that reason, he's going to look a better player playing in the red and white of Arsenal, which is great news for us. Kurt Goff says, at what stage in pre-season should we lock down our chosen starting 11 instead of getting minutes in the legs? I normally say like the last couple of games. So obviously we've got those 2 games at the Emirates Stadium where we play against Villarreal and Athletic Bilbao. And although you'll probably see changes at half-time and all the rest of it, I think those are probably the games that you're going to look at and say, right, that gives us enough of an idea of what he's planning. So yeah, I think that's when you start to draw conclusions with regards to what Mikel is planning to do. But in those games, you're going to see changes. You're going to see rotations, aren't you? Redemption says, what do you think needs to change? We're still not creating many chances like last season. Look, what I would say is don't read into what you're seeing here too much. Like, don't. Like, this is not going to give you an indication of an idea on whether we've improved. And ultimately, right, we've brought in 2 attacking players, and none of them are available to us at this moment in time. Obviously, Victor Gyökeres, we think, is going to join up with the squad in Singapore and have his medical with the group, or while the team are out there, they're going to carry out that medical and have a look at him and make sure everything's good before completing the deal. So he'll be there soon. Noni Madueke won't be a part of it because, as we were just talking about, his Club World Cup involvement has made it really, really important that he gets a bit of a breather and a rest and a break now. So, we haven't got those 2 attacking players in whom we are hoping are going to help elevate our attacking level on the whole. So there's that to factor in, but there's also the fact that all these players we're looking at now, like, they're not sharp, they're not fit, they're not ready to go. So yeah, I wouldn't draw too many conclusions based on what we're seeing in front of us. Daniel says, hey mate, first time catching you live. Thanks for joining, mate. He says, do you think Nwaneri's starting position today is indicative of Arteta's plans for him moving forward? I know that he had always spoken about that before. Yeah, look, we've been reading reports and hearing that the plan for Ethan Nwaneri is for him to continue sort of developing as a more central player. And, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing him playing in that more central area, in that more central role, We're seeing him thrive in that type of role. And I think that one of the reasons that we probably signed Noni Madueke is because we probably don't want to end up sort of pigeonholing Ethan Nwaneri into a position that probably isn't his best one. The thing with Nwaneri, right, is if I think about what his best attribute is, it's the way he receives the ball in tight spaces, the way he can drop a shoulder, the way he can create half a yard, and the way he can let fly with that left foot of his. And so you want him as close to those central areas as possible at all times, don't you? Because if you have him in those areas, he's more likely to be able to impact the game in that way and get those opportunities. And let me tell you this, he's one hell of a finisher. He's one hell of a goal scorer and one hell of an attacker. So that's where I want him. Willman says, what kind of profile in attack do we still need, do you think? I personally always think we need more world-class players, like a world-class winger. Fortunately, though, we've got Gyökeres now. Yeah, look, I mean, it's really, really interesting, isn't it? Like, people are going to have this discussion about what we need next. I think if you can't find the winger that suits what you are looking for, or you're going to keep both Trossard and Martinelli, then I think you go for an Eberechi Eze. And I think we will keep both Trossard and Martinelli. So for me, Eberechi Eze feels like the right fit now. And I know people keep saying, you know, he's going to end up taking game time away from, you know, from others like Nwaneri, and does Madueke coming in make a difference? Look, this is not going to go down well with people. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal left it as it is. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gyökeres was the last one. If that's 6 players in the door, Arsenal will probably say that they've done enough and feel that they've done enough and done adequate business this summer. But I would argue that we need one more. And for me, that one more, based on who's available, based on what's available, and the prices that these players would be available at, I think Eze feels like the right option. St. Francis says, Harry, Fabrizio Romano just posted a video saying those close to Real Madrid say that Rodrigo will not go for anything less than 100 million euros. Thoughts on Arsenal and Liverpool possibility? At 100 million euros, Arsenal ain't signing him. Arsenal aren't signing him. That's my opinion. That's my view. So, yeah, I don't think we'll end up with him if that's what they're demanding. If they're willing to drop those demands, and if they're willing to do a business that's significantly less, then you might see Arsenal enter the mix late on. It feels like this is the type of transfer that probably rumbles on and probably goes on into the sort of latter stages of the window when the situation potentially gets desperate for everybody involved. The club that want him might feel like this is kind of last chance saloon. Let's make sure that we get the player over the line and get him in. You're also going to get Rodrigo, if he's desperate to get out of there, really pushing at that stage in the window. And then things can happen. Things can change. You know, things can evolve. But yeah, at the moment, for 100 million, I just can't see it. Maybe Chef says, what's your take on all the Isak rumours circling saying he wants 300k a week from Newcastle? I've heard some reports, you know, that, and I've heard some information from some people that are quite heavily involved with Newcastle United that seems to suggest that he's unhappy and that he wants to move on and all the rest of it. But I don't know how true that is. Look, we're back. The pictures are back for the game. Arsenal making 4 changes by the looks of it. 4 changes at half-time. We're going to have a quick look at who those are. One of them is Zubimendi. He's about to make his Arsenal debut. Odegaard is there. It's going to be 5 changes. Kivior, Lewis Skelly, and Trossard. So those 5 are about to come on for Arsenal. Martin Zubimendi to make his Arsenal debut. Martin Odegaard, Jakub Kivior, Miles Lewis Skelly, and Leandro Trossard. Will bring you up to speed with who they are replacing as soon as we have that information. Junior, who's been a member of the channel for 24 months now, says he's hoping to see Max Dowman make some kind of cameo today. Chukwueze's coming on for Milan. They're making some changes too, but it's a friendly. I'm never going to keep up to date with all those changes. Oh, Kepa's coming on as well. So we're talking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 changes. 6 changes for the Gunners at the break. We'll bring you confirmation of who they're replacing very, very shortly. But two players coming on to make their Arsenal debuts. We've been talking a lot about Chelsea, haven't we? Former Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga is one of them. And Martin Zubimendi was given a really interesting interview with The Athletic, which we'll probably touch on in our next episode of the pod. We're going to do an episode of the pod later today, just to kind of reflect on this game, to discuss some of the takeaways. And yeah, I look forward to you guys joining me on that. You might want to join me on that one tomorrow if you're sick to death of it by now, which you can understand. Sick to death of my voice. I get it. The second half is underway. I'll bring you confirmation of those changes. It looks like Martinelli's gone off. It looks like Norgaard's gone off. Obviously, the goalkeeper's been replaced. Nwaneri's gone off as well to be replaced by Martin Odegaard. Lewis Skelly's come on to replace Zinchenko. So I can pretty much guess who's gone off. Here's Trossard on the edge of the box. Looks to find Kai Havertz. Rice will volley it down into the ground, but it just bobbles wide of Terracciano's left-hand post. That's the first action of this first period. For those of you wishing to sync up with us, 45 minutes and 43 seconds on the clock. As Milan look to play out from the back. Here's Trossard on the left for Arsenal. Back to Lewis Skelly. Here's Zubimendi getting his first touches in an Arsenal shirt. Looks tidy. That's what we signed him for, isn't it? Back inside it goes to William Saliba. Kivior's obviously replaced Calafiori, another player whose fitness we've probably got to with. He's another player whose fitness we've probably got to be a little bit careful with. Ricardo Calafiori's. I figured out, by the way, what's wrong with my microphone, but I can't fix it midstream. So apologies if it does cut out from time to time. It does come straight back when it cuts out. I'll do my best to rectify that ahead of the next episode that we do. Here's Terracciano in the Milan goal. Here's confirmation of those changes. Nwaneri, Zinchenko, Martinelli. Three of the players that have gone off. Here's Odegaard. Out to the right-hand side. And the other three Arsenal players that made way, Christian Norgaard, David Raya and Ricardo Calafiori, as we said. Here's Trossard. Chukwueze, Okafor and Gabia are on for Milan. Salamakers, Pulisic and Fikayo Tomori have all made way. Odegaard under a bit of pressure from Rafael Leao. Just went for the sort of change of direction there. Martin Odegaard lost his footing in the end, but I think the contact from Rafael Leao was enough to give the referee reason to award Arsenal a free kick. Trossard twisting and turning. Zubimendi into the feet of Lewis Skelly, dancing his way into the Milan box, and Milan look to clear it. Rafael Leao look to bring that clearance under control, but it will run through to around about halfway where William Saliba will pick it up and Arsenal start again. Zubimendi looks silky so far. Nice little change of direction. Exchanges passes with Lewis Skelly. That was a loose pass from Lewis Skelly. And Rafael Leao's picked it up just inside his own half. Lovely bit of trickery, lovely bit of skill. He's got support arriving, still carrying it, Rafael Leao. He's got 5-6 Arsenal shirts around him, and it took a while for Arsenal to dispossess him. My God. My God. He is a force of nature, isn't he, Rafael Leao? Once he gets going, once he gets charging up the pitch. Arsenal did well, I think, to in the end just crowd him out rather than trying desperately to sort of win it back one by one and each falling by the wayside. There's over 7,500 people joining us here on the Chronicles of a Gooner live stream, live watch along, whatever you want to call it, of Arsenal versus Milan in the Singapore Festival of Football. Thank you for your amazing support. If you are with us on YouTube, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you're with us on X, come over to the YouTube channel, give us a subscribe. And be sure to check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon too. Here come Arsenal now, down the right with Martin Odegaard. He's got plenty of space to carry the ball into. Saka's on the outside of him, tees up the England man. Bukayo Saka just inside the Milan box, gets to the byline, tries to work the cross in, and I think it was Gabbia who was back there to make the defensive intervention. And now Arsenal have themselves a corner. 5 minutes or so into this second period. For those of you wanting to sync up, 50 minutes and 24 seconds on my stream. It's another look at that Ruben Loftus-Cheek run that came just a moment or so ago. Again, William Saliba just so calm and chilled in terms of coming across and dealing with situations. Just invariably just shuts the door, doesn't he, rather than having to commit too much and risk making a mistake or losing out. Saka's corner delivered into the box. The goalkeeper came, got something on it, and then Loftus-Cheek will smash it up to halfway. Zubimendi having to do some defending there, biting away, snapping away at the heels of the Milan forward there and winning it back for Arsenal eventually. Odegaard now on halfway. Here's Declan Rice inside the centre circle for the Gunners. Looking for options to his right. Works it out to Bukayo Saka to the right of the Milan penalty area. White making the overlapping run. He uses him as a decoy, then finds Odegaard. Clips it into the box. Havertz was making a run across the defender, but he never managed to get anything on it. And Terracciano, who watched it all the way, was able to watch it bounce through to him in goal and gather gratefully. Here come Milan down this left-hand side with Bartasaghi. Looks for the switch of play, intercepted by Trossard, who had just drifted infield from that wide left position. Here's Rice at the base of the midfield. It's interesting to see if Rice's role just changes a little bit with Zubimendi in the team. That's what I'm really curious about in this second half. No signs of that just yet, but we'll see how that develops. Here's Trossard on the left. Lewis Skelly coming out wide to support him. Kiwior will deliver into the box from deep, and Saka from close range turns it in, and Arsenal finally have their breakthrough. Bukayo Saka scores the first goal of Arsenal's pre-season tour. A wonderfully worked move. Kiwior joining in the attack from left centre-back, playing a wonderful ball into the back post area where Bukayo Saka was arriving to sweep it home left-footed. Terracciano could do nothing about it, and Arsenal lead AC Milan by 1-0. Mikel Arteta very pleased. Bukayo Saka pretty pleased with himself too. Kiwior worked it out left to Trossard initially, and Kiwior just continued to make his run towards the corner of the box. Trossard teed him up brilliantly. He delivered in towards the far post area, and Saka ghosted in at the far post around the back of a couple of defenders. Wonderful delivery from Kiwior, and all he had to do there, Bukayo Saka, was just control it, just guide it into the far corner, and he does exactly that. Left-footed, not the cleanest strike you'll see from the Arsenal and England man. He just controlled it down into the ground, and it bounced in towards that far corner. And you know which one of Arsenal's staff on the bench enjoyed that the most? Gabriel Heinze. He absolutely loved that, Gabriel Heinze. That's clearly something they've been working on, getting the centre-halves into those types of areas. The delivery from Kiwior had real quality on it, and Bukayo Saka just did enough at that far post. As I say, it wasn't the most brilliant finish from him. It wasn't the cleanest finish from him, but what it was was a goal that was made by the movement. A goal that came about because his movement at the far post was excellent. Keith Aldridge says, whisper it, but we're looking sharp in the first pre-season game. Look, I still think we're a long way off the peak. And I don't even think when you start the season, you're at your best. But I think, Arsenal look better and sharper for not having had a summer tournament like we did last time. I think you can see the difference in the way that we've started our pre-season. So long way to go, lots of work still to be done, but obviously some encouraging signs there for sure. Arsenal have themselves a free kick at the moment, just to the right of our penalty area. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Here is Martin Odegaard. Kai Havertz just stepped on the ball there and ended up falling over. That was just to the right of the Milan penalty area. 55 minutes and 49 seconds on my clock for those of you wanting to sync up with us. I know it's not always possible when we're watching games through live streams, but that's how these pre-season friendlies are broadcast to us here in the UK. I know it's available on a couple of American channels. I think Astro, someone mentioned as well, are showing it, which is great for you guys. But we're on stream. We're on streams, and that sometimes means that there's a bit of a difference in the timing. Here comes Ben White down the right-hand side. Lays it off to Bukayo Saka, corner of the Milan penalty area. Saka's left-footed ball in towards Kai Havertz, whose header was over the top of the crossbar in the end. The movement was good. Just wonder if that took a touch on its way through. The referee from Singapore getting a bit of stick from the Milan players there, because I think he's pointed to a corner here. There was a touch off a Milan player in the build-up, but I think it came off the Milan player first and then off of Kai Havertz rather than the other way round. Lots of you telling me I should put a clock and an overlay. There is a clock on the screen. It's not the most accurate in comparison to with my stream, but I promise that if we do more of these, and we might do over the course of the season because the response today has been amazing, we'll invest in getting that sorted out, because I don't know how to do it, so I'm going to have to pay someone to do it, basically. Declan Rice's corner kick into the penalty area it goes. Milan clear towards the edge of the box. Saka will just cushion it down to Martin Odegaard, who's midway inside the Milan half, and then rolls it back to Miles Lewis-Skelly. Back in field it goes to William Saliba. Arsenal work it back out to that right-hand side for Saka again. Infield it goes to Odegaard. White is in close proximity. That trio that had formed such a great relationship and bond over the last couple of seasons of White, Saka and Odegaard on that right-hand side, finally playing together. Hadn't seen that for such a long time. We caught glimpses of it at the back end of last season, but I would argue that none of them were in the best form or shape. Mikel Arteta talking very candidly yesterday about how he just had to pick players that could last 90 minutes. That was the level of sort of duress he was under as a coach last season in terms of trying to get things right. And while we were all being really critical from the outside, there were so many issues Arsenal were dealing with behind the scenes. A real rotten season in terms of injuries. Maybe Chef says, please do more of these, Harry. I love the channel and don't get to tune in live anymore because of the new start times. Great content and keep up the good work. Thank you very much, mate. I really, really do appreciate that. And I'm sorry that the start time doesn't work for you, but it's the only way I can make sure there's a level of consistency to the podcast that we bring you. So we do from time to time do a later stream as well, just depending on what the news cycle looks like. Here is Saliba stepping into midfield from that Arsenal backline. Out to the right for Saka. Ben White goes on the overlap. Saka rolls it inside to Zubimendi. First time ball into Odegaard. Odegaard was closed down by Rafael Leao. I think Odegaard wanted a free kick. The referee was not interested. I don't think he was in need of reaching for his whistle there, in fairness. I thought Rafael Leao was just the stronger of the two players in that particular duel and in that particular situation. Here's Pavlovic at the back. Chukwuemeka. Here's Gabia. Now Pavlovic at left centre-back for Milan. Luis Skelly picks it up for Arsenal at left-back. Early ball into the feet of Kai Havertz. Lays it off to Trossard on the left. Movement in the middle. Picks out Odegaard. Lovely flick over the top of Pavlovic, who'd gone to confront him to find Bukayo Saka. He's on the edge of the box. Back to Odegaard. Looks to thread it through the legs of the defender. I think he was hoping that Martin Zubimendi had made a more aggressive run there. It didn't quite come, and so the move breaks down, but Arsenal do have themselves a throw in just inside their own half. Mikel Arteta's looking to bring on some young lads. Nichols, Salmon and Dowman are all ready, as is Mikel Merino. So 4 changes coming up. Nichols, Dowman, Salmon and Merino. Talk to you a little bit about those players in a minute once they get onto the pitch, because I've been lucky enough to see a couple of those players on maybe more occasions than your average person, just because of some of the work that I've been doing. So yeah, I'll give you some thoughts on those in just a second, because Arsenal are attacking at the minute down the left-hand side with Leandro Trossard. Have we got to 1,000 likes yet, by the way, on the YouTube channel? Can't be that far off, surely. Trossard clips it into the box, looking for Kai Havertz. Pavlovic's half clearance. Rice tries to keep it alive. He was trying to find the feet of Martin Odegaard. The move breaks down, though. Milan's clearance ends up being swept up by Jakub Kivior. White on the right now. Into Saka, who peels off that right flank and into a more central position. Skips past Musa, who brought him down. And Arsenal have themselves a free kick. Round about the corner of the Milan box on that right-hand side. Saka's down in a heap, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Martin Odegaard is already placing the ball down. Not sure if he will take it. I used to think that he was the go-to free kick guy in this Arsenal team, and then Declan Rice stepped up against Real Madrid and maybe changed a lot of people's opinions on that. Are Arsenal going to take this opportunity to make the changes? Don't think they are. I think they're going to hold fire. But Mikel Arteta's taken the opportunity just to pass on some instruction to Martin Zubimendi. It's understandable that he might not be doing things quite the way that Mikel wants them. It is his first appearance in an Arsenal shirt. Declan Rice has walked away, and so it's Odegaard's delivery, left-footed, straight into the wall, frustratingly. Luis Skelly out to the left, picked up by Leandro Trossard. Trossard's delivery towards the far post. Saka will cushion it down for Odegaard. The angle on the knockdown wasn't quite right. It forced Odegaard wider than he would have liked, and then White puts it into the penalty area. And it comes to Trossard on this left-hand side. Luis Skelly whips it into the box. It's bouncing around. Kivior tries to keep it alive. Odegaard shot into the side netting. Thought that was in, I have to say. Arsenal completely in control in this second half. Obviously, they've made a few changes and brought on a few more senior players. And that is, I think, contributing to their greater dominance in this second period. Just having another look at that effort from the captain, Martin Odegaard. Going to see some changes now, I think, certainly on the Milan side of things. I think Arsenal will take this opportunity to. There you go, Mikel Merino's just come onto the pitch. William Saliba, I think, has come off. He'll be replaced by Marley Salmon. Young, promising centre-back. Really like the look of him. Saw him in a couple of under-21s games, and he's not even near the age of the under-21s. Like, I know all the talk has been around Max Dowman because he's a really exciting talent, and rightly so. Max Dowman is coming on as well. But Marley Salmon is 15 years old. He turns 16 next month, but he's 15 years old, and he's been playing at Premier League 2 level and doing a wonderful job. He's on the pitch now for the Arsenal first team at 15. People say that Mikel Arteta doesn't give youngsters a chance. Max Dowman is on 2. Mikel Merino's on 2. And Josh Nichols is on. I think Nichols will probably play at right back, I'm guessing. Looks like that's the position he's taken up. There's Salmon getting his first touch, hopping it forward towards Kai Havertz. It's a Milan free kick. Loftus-Cheek, Richie and Terracciano have gone off for Milan as well. They've made 3 changes themselves. So ball clipped forward. Just having a quick look through some of your comments. If you just spam the chat, I'll just delete you. It's not a problem for me. Like, it's just one button. Don't spam the chat. Like, I'm all for debate, questions, whatever you want to do. But there's no need to spam the chat. Here's Max Dowman going on his first dribble for the first team. Glad he released it there, because when I've watched Max Dowman, as brilliant as I think he is, I do think at times he holds onto the ball a little bit too long. And I think that at under 18s level, he probably feels he can get away with that. You're not going to get away with that at this level. You're going to be crunched. So he's got to find that balance between sort of showing off his dribbling capabilities, but also at the same time releasing at the right time. Here he is inside the box. Max Dowman tries to make room for the shot and gets one off. And it took a couple of little ricochets there, I think, on its way through. It is a goal kick. It must have taken a ricochet off an Arsenal man. But Max Dowman, wearing the number 56 shirt, showing people already what he's capable of. He's a real talent. He really, really is. And I said when we were talking about him on a recent podcast that I think the way to blood him in is to get him playing from that right-hand side a little bit. I think that's where you give him that exposure in those minutes, because it doesn't impact on the structure of the team too much. So I think that's the way to go, and that's where he's playing at the moment. So clearly that's not just my view on how we develop him and how we get the best out of him. Here's Kivior. Long ball forward. It's a direct one. Just had a little bit too much on it. Right through the heart of the Milan team, but there was just a little bit too much on it and took it away from Kai Havertz, and it just rolled through to the Milan goalkeeper, who was, I think, grateful to see it come his way in the end. So over 8,000 of you with us live right now. Just amazing numbers. Have we hit the 1,000 likes yet on the YouTube video? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, because I don't want to minimize the game on my screen to check. So just in case I miss something, you know, that would be a disaster for those that are listening and aren't watching the game at the same time. So if someone could do me the courtesy of letting me know how many likes we've got in the live chat, I'd be grateful. 772 apparently. So we're less than 250 away from hitting that 1,000 likes mark. I don't think we've ever hit 1,000 likes on a live stream. I don't think we've ever done that. Like, we've hit 1,000 likes on videos, but that's been because people have been watching the video later on and sort of contributing in that sense. But if we got to 1,000 likes on the live stream while we're live, I think that would be a first. 806 now. See the difference when you ask? Max Dowman there winning Arsenal a free kick. Lovely little drop of the shoulder to skip away from his man. He was just caught slightly late, and he's going to get a lot of that, Max Dowman. I've said it before. You know, he's a really, really bright talent. He's really tricky. He's wonderfully sharp when it comes to those changes of direction. He's got all of that ability, but he is going to get crunched, particularly when he makes that step up in the Premier League and all the rest of it. And so for that reason, I just want to see him become a little bit more streetwise, and he's got to not allow that stuff to kind of wind him up. I think when I've seen him on a couple of occasions in under 18s games, live in the flesh, and I can hear what everybody's saying because I'm standing by the side of the pitch, I think, you know, it might get frustrating for him at times. And I want him to sort of find a way of mentally blocking that out and making sure that it doesn't sort of create a sidetrack for him, because if he stays focused in the game, he's such a talent. Here comes Kivior to sweep up. The Miles Lewis Skelly initially, I think, failed to clear that there. With 120 likes away from that 1,000 mark. The game's gone into a bit of a lull, so now's a good opportunity to help us out with that. 71 minutes and 10 seconds on my clock for those of you that are wanting to sync up. Milan are on the attack at the moment. They've got Arsenal camped in their own half. I suppose Arsenal leading the game can afford to sort of just soak up a little bit now and conserve a bit of energy. Look to hit on the counter-attack. But Milan are in down the left here. Lovely cut back towards Rafael Leao. Odegaard got just about enough on it. Had to pull out of the second challenge, though, Martin Odegaard. And then Zubimendi does brilliantly to prevent a Milan corner. Sweeps it out of play over to that right-hand side of Arsenal's. Concedes a throw in, which Milan take quickly. They don't make anything of it in the end. Yeah, if we get to 1,000 likes, what am I going to do? I'll do a little bit of a victory dance or something. Lovely tackle that from Josh Nichols at right back to win it back for Arsenal. Dowman on the corner of his own box shows incredible composure and then rolls it back to Marley Salmon, 15 years old, playing at centre-back for Arsenal. Wow. Just unbelievable. Thank you to everybody that has hit that like button. And thank you to everybody who's come over from X to YouTube specifically to do that, because there's a few of you that have mentioned that in the chat. Thanks for the support. Havertz. Odegaard's cross. Oh, it was Dowman's cross, I beg your pardon. Just cut out at the near post. Arsenal have themselves a corner. Andy says Greek dancing is what we want to see here. Theo says halloumi bita with some souvlaki. Invite me for a couple of beers. Let's do it, man. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. Although it feels like every bit of spare time I've got at the moment is taken up by the wife asking me to do something around the house, because our third child is due to be born within the next month and a half or so. So, yeah, it's all systems go here. Arsenal corner. Odegaard takes it short. Zubimendi on the corner of the box. Works it back out right to Martin Odegaard. Back to Zubimendi. Now Max Dowman. He's just in field of Zubimendi at the minute. Zubimendi will ping it through to Trossard. Lovely spin away from Trossard. He tried to make something of that on the byline, but Pavlovic had done really, really well there to understand what Zubimendi was planning in terms of that pass and then just come across and close the door. We'll come on to some of your questions a little bit later on, so hold fire on them. Ryan Walter says, name the child Victor. Congrats, man. It's a little girl, so I don't think, oh, Victoria? That's not a bad name, is it? Victoria. Clipped into the penalty area towards the far post. Kiwior was challenging. Marino was challenging too. The ball is turned behind for an Arsenal corner kick. Kingley says who scored for the Arsenal. Bukayo Saka was the goal scorer. Wonderful cross into the box from Jakub Kiwior. It's not really what we've come to expect from Jakub Kiwior, is it? But did his bit there. Came forward from centre-back. Did brilliant. Whipped it in, left-footed. Odegaard's delivery into the penalty area, headed towards goal, and that's a brilliant save to deny Mikel Merino. Arsenal so very, very nearly making it 2-0 there. Here's Dowman now on the right-hand side. Stephen says, will you be doing any more pre-season watch-alongs, Harry? We'll do all of the games out in Asia. We'll cover all of those ones. The ones here in the UK, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be working at them, so I don't think I'll be able to bring you watch-alongs of those ones. But the ones in Asia, definitely, because I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there. So, yeah, we'll be able to bring you the games out in the Far East. And they're at good times as well, aren't they? Like, I know it's slap bang in the middle of the working day for some people, but it's much better than the 4 a.m. jobs that we normally end up with when we're playing in the United States. And I know for our US listeners, they love that. And it's only fair that they get a bit of favourable timing over the course of the season as well, because I know how hard you guys have it, given that you've got to wake up at crazy times when you've got work and life around it and all the rest of it. But for us here in the UK, I mean, and I'm one of the lucky ones that doesn't have to be anywhere else in the middle of the day. This really does work for me. I love it. 76 minutes and 35 seconds on my clock for those looking to sync up. And I'm told that we're about, 40 likes short of the 1,000 mark. Come on, one final push. One final push and we can get there. It's going to be a short pause in the game for a drinks break. I think we've gained a good few hundred subscribers as well during this watch along, which is amazing. Thank you all so much. Both sides will take a brief pause now. Here's that Marino header again. It was a cross that came in from Arsenal's left. Marino with a really good header down into the ground. It was destined for the far corner. And it was a really good save on the stretch from the young Lorenzo Torriani in the Milan goal. Apparently, we've got it. 1,000 likes, 1K, let's go. Ravi says he was the 1,000th like. T. Dowsing says 1,000 likes, and apparently have we got almost 2K? 1,700-ish. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you. Just Skitting says you did it. I didn't do it. You guys did it. So thank you so much. Thank you, Steve, for your kind words. I'm gonna ask my wife later. What do we think about naming the baby Victoria Concordia Symeou? Yes. At the risk of repeating myself, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself. Well, I am repeating myself. How comes you don't do more watch-alongs from Temi? Just because of work, mate. Just because of work. Like, I'm often reporting at games or working as a commentator at games, and it means that it's very hard for me to do it. But listen, like, a question for you guys while the game's in a bit of a sort of lull of a state. Reece Nelson's on now, by the way, as well. I think Kai Havertz has gone off and Trossard's gone into centre forward, maybe. I think that's the way we've adjusted it. Would you be interested in watch-alongs of other teams, like obviously Premier League games and games that may be relevant to us, as well. Like, if there's some kind of Arsenal link to the game, would you be interested in those? Because I can definitely do more of those. But I worry that because we're a channel based on an Arsenal audience, that isn't really going to work. So unless you guys tell me otherwise. Kevin says, hello from Delaware. Thank God we got Gyökeres. The stats are once again showing, hold on, Nelson with a cross, cut out at the near post. But a single goal, it feels like last season all over again. I hate to sound negative, mate. Don't stress about what you're seeing here. If we're seeing it in the final preseason game, I can understand why people will feel a little bit of concern. But even then, it's still a preseason game. But this is the first proper preseason outing Arsenal have had. I don't think there's any need to be concerned by anything that we're seeing. I think there's nothing like massively alarming. Just isn't. You know, there's some good points, there's some bad points, but I don't think there's anything that I would read too much into. And we'll do a breakdown of the game. We'll bring you a sort of a short form podcast, probably about 20, 25 minutes long, on the game a little bit later on. I'm going to take a pause after this finishes, have a bit of a breather, and then we'll go live and we'll react to the game. So yeah, we'll do that, and we'll touch on the good points and the bad points. Jakey Snakey says, Harry, I'd watch you boil pasta. More streams. What? Thanks for the support, man. Means a lot. Watch me boil pasta. Arsenal corner kick on 81 minutes and 8 seconds, for those of you wanting to sync up. Delivery into the box. Headed away. Met on the edge of the area by Max Dowman. Square ball to Reiss Nelson. Odegaard's on the outside, having taken the corner from the left-hand side. Odegaard's delivery is a good one. Trossard challenges. It'll break to the right of the Milan penalty area, where Max Dowman will get there first. Really tidy, isn't he, Max Dowman? He looks really confident. I mean, I know he's very young, and I know that you should never put too much pressure on players of that age. But this guy is just so ready, isn't he, to up his level. And I wouldn't be surprised if he played a bigger role in the first team than maybe some people envisaged. Trossard's effort, brilliant. Tipped over the top of the crossbar by Torriani. Plenty of power on it from Trossard. It was quite a way out, but just helped over the top of the crossbar. The strong right hand from the goalkeeper. Just going back to Max Dowman. Like, I feel like I want to see him get opportunities in the first team when the situation allows it. But I think we're in this space with him where, you know, you want him to get those chances, but you also want him to be playing Premier League 2 football as well. For more than anything, just to be playing regularly and to have that rhythm. And so when he does come into the first team, he's sort of fit and sharp rather than sort of just hanging around, getting a few minutes here and there. I think that's really, really important. Odegaard's cut back, and then it's hooked away. Nichols will retrieve this on the right-hand side, but the referee's blown his whistle for something. It's going to be a Milan free kick by the looks of it. Kevin says, I guess you're right, Harry, just on the whole, don't get too high, don't get too low thing around pre-season games. He says, I just desperately want to see us win. It's hard being an Arsenal fan in NA. I hope we win something this year. Come on, Arsenal. Forgive me, but I don't know what NA stands for. I'm really bad at the abbreviations of the areas and states in the US. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not saying NA as in non-applicable. I'm saying NA as in, I don't know where you're from. Oh, is it North America? Is that what you're saying? North America. Okay, I should have known that. I thought it was like an abbreviation for one of the states, but there you go. Thanks, guys, for clearing that up in the live chat. Jakey says, Harry, apart from numbers 1 to 11, what kit number is the most aesthetically pleasing to you? I'm a big fan of 29, and I don't know why. Well, after 1 to 11, I'm going to say 14 because of the great Thierry Henry. I used to wear the number 7. So that's my favourite number. Here is Kepa Arrizabalaga doing the David Raya impression, coming way out of his penalty area to help the ball forward. RHM says, what's the match like at the moment? It feels like the tempo's really dropped. Feels like it's just kind of crawling towards its conclusion. Arsenal obviously a goal to the good. Bukayo Saka making the difference. Getting on the end of Jakub Kiwior's cross. Arsenal have brought on a few youngsters in Nichols, in Salmon, in Dowman. Martin Zubimendi's made his debut. Christian Norgaard started the game but came off at half-time. Kepa Arrizabalaga making his Arsenal debut as well. In terms of the game itself, it just feels like the tempo's just dropped a little bit. That's a nice ball down the left-hand side that Reiss Nelson will latch onto. He's to the left of the Milan box. Couple of step-overs. Makes a dart for the byline. Stands it up. Odegaard takes it on the chest. He was on his right foot, though, and he was reluctant to shoot. And then, just as things started to open up for him, he let fly with the left foot, but the angle was a difficult one, and Torriani was able to make a comfortable save at his near post. And that'll be an Arsenal corner. I just wonder if Odegaard needed to cut that back with his right foot if he didn't feel confident in taking the shot on, or just said sod it and had a swing of the right boot at it, and who knows where it would have ended up. It's an Arsenal corner now as a result. Odegaard is going to take it. To the edge of the box it goes. Zubimendi tees up Reiss Nelson. One touch control and then an effort towards goal, which took a ricochet, I think, on its way. I mean, Reiss Nelson's adamant it was a corner. Leandro Trossard started jogging over to retrieve the ball because he was adamant it was a corner, but the officials say no. Oh, it was definitely a corner. It was absolutely a corner. I think it came off of one of the Milan. It did come off of the Milan number 35. Officials have got that wrong. Listen, the standard of the officiating in this game, I've got to say, has been really, really poor. But I'm not going to complain about it because it's a pre-season friendly. And I'd imagine we're going to be complaining about officials quite a bit over the course of the season. So let's try and make the most of not having to do so right now. Here's Trossard into Odegaard. Here's Dowman now. Nelson. Here's Zubimendi. Nelson coming inside off that left flank. Just to bring you guys up to speed, I think we mentioned it earlier on in the stream, but there will be a penalty shootout at the end of this, regardless of what the score is. So that will be a little bit of fun for us to enjoy, I suppose. I mean, it seems pointless, but it's all about the entertainment, isn't it, for the supporters in it. It's all about the entertainment. Here is Mikel Merino. Lays it off to Zubimendi, who's out on that right-hand side, into the half space for Max Dowman. Inside the box, tees up Trossard on the edge of it. Martin Odegaard, lovely bit of skill, and then just lost his way. I'll tell you what, like, I said that we shouldn't read into the pre-season friendlies too much, and we shouldn't, okay? And I don't want to make too big of a deal out of this, but Martin Odegaard, to me, since he's come on the pitch, looks a bit like the Martin Odegaard of last season, where he's trying things that aren't coming off, and it just, I don't know, like, there's just not that same rhythm and flow to Martin Odegaard's game as, you know, what we'd become accustomed to over the years. It just feels like he overcomplicates things, that he's maybe overthinking stuff a bit, that maybe he hasn't got that bad form out of his mindset just yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, and maybe I'm doing the exact thing that I said we shouldn't be doing you know, when discussing this preseason friendly. But that's how I feel watching Martin Odegaard at the moment. I've got to say, we're into the 89th minute. 89 minutes and 24 seconds on the clock for those of you that want to make sure that you're as synced up as you possibly can be. It's a Milan goal kick at the moment. Eight and a half thousand people watching with us. Amazing. Truly amazing. Thank you for the support. I really, really do appreciate it. I know I've said it 100 times, but I really do mean it. Because for me, like there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that do brilliant watch-alongs, right? I don't do them often. I do them from time to time. I tend to do them more so in pre-season because I've got the time and I'm available to. But when you do one for like the first time in like probably a year, you do wonder, like, is anybody going to tune in and watch it? And to have these numbers is just outstanding. So thank you so much. Marino's cross to the edge of the box. Odegaard brings it under control. Odegaard slips it through to Leandro Trossard, who can't quite wriggle free of the defender. I think he thought he was fouled there, but he took a touch and tried to make something of it, Leandro Trossard, but he was shut down very, very quickly. 3 minutes of added time. We've had almost one of those 3 minutes already. Here is Salmon at the back. Kivior. Lovely ball through the lines. Trossard lays it off to Marino. Lovely ball out to the left flank with the outside of the boot. Reiss Nelson makes his way into the penalty area. Nelson's shot, really, really good save. Again, from the young Milan goalkeeper, Torriani, down to his right-hand side. Really good Arsenal move. Nelson with a couple of step-overs, checked inside onto that right foot and drove it hard and low in towards that near post area. Good reactions from the goalkeeper. Arsenal corner. Odegaard, the Gunners skipper, prepares to take it. Some of you asking what the attendance is like. There's a lot of empty seats, but it's a big old ground, and I haven't seen the attendance written down anywhere, so I can't really judge it, but I'd imagine it's probably about 20,000. I'd imagine we're about that point. Nelson inside. Zubimendi clips it towards the far post. Kivior was forward from the back as a result of the corner kick, but Arsenal failed to make anything of that particular move, and now Milan look to do something themselves. Trossard takes an early shot when the ball broke to him about 25 yards out, but it was an easy save for Torriani in goal. Helgun says it's a weekday, not everyone will be able to attend. I agree, but you know, it is in the evening over there. It's not the middle of the day. Kickoff was at 7:30 p.m. local time. Benjamin says the Arsenal live feed has crashed. Has it? Mine's working. I don't want to jinx it, but mine's working. You'd be annoyed if you paid for it and it's crashed, wouldn't you? And that comes back to my moan and rant that I had at the beginning of the stream, which is, I think it's very, very wrong that Arsenal are charging for these games. I really do. I really, really do. I don't like it. I don't like it. Arsenal have a goal kick. This will probably be the last action of the game. And there it is. The full-time whistle. It's finished 1-0 to the Arsenal. The famous old scoreline. Bukayo Saka with the only goal of the game. Jakub Kivior's cross delivered into the far post area. Bukayo Saka made a really clever run to create the space for himself before latching onto it and just diverting it into the far corner via the ground as it bounced in. 53 minutes it took Arsenal to break the deadlock. Didn't really have too much to worry about going the other way, as we sort of mentioned might well be the case in the lead up to the game. But we are going to have now this sort of penalty shootout. I mean, do you get an extra point in this Singapore Festival of Football thing for winning the shootout, or is it just purely for entertainment? I know that I remember reading something a few years ago that said that Mikel Arteta was really big on these pre-season penalty shootouts just because it gets people in the kind of the zone a little bit. It's something to concentrate on. It's something that you might have to use over the course of the season, and you don't really get that much practice in match situations. I know these friendlies are not the same, right? They don't replicate the pressure situation that you could find yourself in a penalty shootout in the Champions League, for instance, or in a cup in the latter stages, right? But I mean, I did read that Mikel is quite big on that and wants that to happen in these pre-season games. I don't know if he's had the final say on this, but it is something that we've seen a lot in Arsenal's pre-season games, but we see it in a lot of others as well. So yeah, here's the goal again. I'm just watching the goal again. It was Kivior's initial pass out to the left-hand side for Trossard. Lewis Skelly made an overlapping run, which took the second defender away and allowed Trossard just to roll it back inside to Kivior, who met it around about the corner of the penalty area, whipped it left-footed in towards the far post area. Saka with a clever bit of movement to create the space. He looks like he's going to make the run in beyond the fullback on the far side. Then he checks for a second, and then he goes all the way around him, but he times it really well because he stays on side and sort of wraps his run around to ensure that was the case. And all he has to do is just guide it towards the far post. And I'm watching Gabriel Heinze's reaction again. I mean, they said he was a bit of a passion merchant, and he certainly looks like it based on that. I mean, he was very, very happy with the pre-season friendly goal. Just seeing that Leandro Trossard strike again, where he forced a good save out of Torriani. It was straight down his throat, but there was plenty of venom and power. It was a very, very clean strike from Leandro Trossard. Goalkeeper did well in the end to tip it over the bar. He looks an exciting prospect. Lorenzo Torriani, not sure quite how old he is. Here, this was another opportunity. Nelson's ball into the box. It found Odegaard. He tried to make something of it. He found himself feeling, I think, a little bit uncomfortable on his right foot, and in the end waited for it to kind of sit that little bit nicer, took that initial touch and then struck it left-footed towards the near post where the goalkeeper was equal to it. Reece Nelson also had a go in the latter stages of the game where he checked inside off that left flank and forced another good save out of Torriani, this time down low to his right. We're just waiting for the penalty shootout to begin. Come on, guys, get on with it. We've been talking for how bloody long. Full-time stats, Arsenal had 57% of the possession, 23 shots, 9 of which were on target. Played 483 passes with an accuracy rate of 89%. We managed 14 corners. Caught offside just the once, 9 fouls to Milan's 8, no cards whatsoever from either side. It is a friendly, innit? Like, you got to go quite big in terms of being a bit of a shithouse to pick up cards in these types of matches, but it does happen sometimes. It does happen. Right, it looks like we're ready for the penalty shootout to get underway. And who is going to step up first for the Arsenal? The camera's so zoomed out, I couldn't possibly tell you who it is. That is making his way up towards the spot. Big thanks to Dylan Brooks 14 in the chat for your very, very kind words. Looks like it's going to be, is that Leandro Trossard? I think it is. Nope, I beg your pardon, it's Martin Odegaard. Arsenal's captain, Martin Odegaard, will take the Gunners' first penalty. Stepping up against Lorenzo Torriani. Odegaard to hit it, left-footed. And it's saved by the goalkeeper down to his right. It wasn't brilliantly placed, that, by Martin Odegaard. He gave the goalkeeper a chance. Credit to the young man, he took that chance. And he denies Martin Odegaard. Arsenal get off to the worst possible start in this penalty shootout with a miss. Matteo Gabbia is going to take for Milan. Kepa Arrizabalaga with a chance to endear himself to the Arsenal supporters, albeit in a friendly. Goes the wrong way, and Milan lead through Matteo Gabbia. Sent the goalkeeper completely the wrong way. Up next for Arsenal. Who will it be? Thanks to Dion as well for your kind words in the chat, Dion Pedal. It's going to be Martin Zubimendi next, making his debut for the Gunners. Martin Zubimendi, very short run up, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way and places it beautifully into the bottom right-hand corner. That is as Spanish a penalty as you will ever see, I think, from Martin Zubimendi. Fantastic. Really, really well taken. Sometimes your run-up, they say, can give away where you're planning to go. If the run-up's short, I guess there's less time, really, isn't there, for the goalkeeper to read what your intentions are. Up next for Milan is Lorenzo Colombo. Left-footed save by Kepa Arrizabalaga. And Arsenal now have the chance to level things. It's not a great penalty, that. It was towards the right of the goal. Left-footed taker. Had a really good height on it for as far as the goalkeeper's concerned. And Kepa manages to get two big hands on it and deny Milan. And now it's up to Mikel Merino to level the score here. Merino rolls it into the bottom corner to level things up. Well, I say level things up. It puts Arsenal 2-1 up. But of course, Milan have a penalty to take. So this penalty that Milan are about to take has the opportunity to level things up. I beg your pardon, my maths was a little bit off there. I think that's Samuel Chukwueze. Yes, it is. He's going to take this left-footed. Casual run-up. Sends Arrizabalaga, though, the wrong way. Nearly called him Zubimendi. I've been doing this stream for too long, haven't I? You know what? There are loads of YouTubers out there, right, that stream for like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. Fair play to you, man, because it is bloody tiring, especially when you're by yourself. So I tip my hat to you guys. Up next for the Arsenal. Reece Nelson. Saved by the goalkeeper. Another save from the young Milan goalkeeper. Torriani has been brilliant tonight, hasn't he? And Milan now have the opportunity to take the lead. Trying to figure out who this is. Mattia Liberali, I think, wearing the number 91 shirt. Had to go right down the squad list to find him. Left-footed, saved by Kepa. Another good stop from the Arsenal goalkeeper down to his left-hand side. There's been some really great penalties in this shootout, and there's been some really rubbish ones as well. Like, there's no in-between, like, medium level here, is there? There just isn't. Jakub Kiwior is up next. Jakub Kiwior to take this left-footed for Arsenal. Saved by the goalkeeper again. What's that? His third save of this shootout, this young goalkeeper. I need to... I need to look this kid up. It is... I know it's pre-season, man, but he's doing brilliantly. Lorenzo Torriani. 20 years old. Milan with another pen, again saved by Kepa. He's having a wonderful shootout. Now you can see why we signed him, and now £5 million looks even better. You'd just sub him on, wouldn't you, for a shootout? He saved 3 penalties in this shootout. We now go to sudden death. Because nobody's missing penalties, right? They're not putting them wide or over or hitting the woodwork. They are being saved. I mean, not all of them are great, but they're being saved. Here's Max Dowman for Arsenal as we go into sudden death. Left-footed, Dowman sends the keeper the wrong way and pings it into that right-hand corner beautifully. Wonderfully taken spot kick from Arsenal's young prodigy. Can Kepa do it again? Can he win us the shootout so we can end the stream and all go home? Well, I am home, but you know what I mean. Is that Warren Bondo for Milan? Runs up, right-footed, little stutter in the run-up, sends Kepa the wrong way. It's probably a little bit too much to ask of Kepa Arrizabalaga to pull out yet another save. Is Kepa going to take one, or is he just handling the ball? No, I think he's just handling the ball. I think he's trying to put off the young goalkeeper. Unsettle him a little bit. I mean, this goalkeeper, Lorenzo Torriani, he's 20 years old. He looks about 12, honestly. Don't wish your youth away, young man, but you do look very young. He's got that kind of Ilan Meslier look to him. Trossard for Arsenal. Little stutter in the run-up, sends the keeper the wrong way. Bottom left-hand corner. Very, very well dispatched by the Belgian. So Arsenal lead 4-3 on penalties, but Milan, of course, have one to take now to potentially make it 4-4. Should Kepa pull another wonderful save out of the bag, Arsenal would win. Lewis Skelly hasn't taken one yet, which I'm surprised by. Thought he'd be the first to nominate himself. It doesn't really matter, does it, in these games? But you want to win, don't you? You win the game in 90 minutes. You'd quite like to win the shootout as well. Right-footed Milan penalty sends Kepa down to his left again, but that was rolled very, very calmly down the middle of the goal. 4-4 it is. Interesting little tactic this from Kepa Arrizabalaga. Every time there's an Arsenal penalty to be taken, he goes over and he picks up the ball and he holds the ball and hands it over to his teammate. Like, I don't know if he just wants to handle the ball loads. Is it to intimidate the opposition goalkeeper? Is it to try and give a bit of belief to his own players? It's young Josh Nichols now from the spot. Right-footed effort. Brilliantly taken. Again, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. Looks like he's been taking penalties for years. And again, Kepa will make his way towards the penalty spot first, before making his way back onto his goal line to try and save this penalty kick. It's the number 35 for Milan, which is Matteo Dutu, I think. Right-footed taker. Into the top corner. Brilliant. Kepa clearly enjoys diving down to that left-hand side, doesn't he? He thinks that that's the way to go, and he's been very successful in this shootout, generally speaking, when taking that approach. But have the players maybe cottoned onto it now a little bit? Seeing less of the Milan players going that way. We've certainly seen less in the last few minutes. Young Marley Salmon, now 15 years old, steps up for Arsenal. I'm waxing lyrical about him because I think he's a real top talent. Wonderful young defender. Can't wait to see how he develops and what his career shapes up like. He steps up here right-footed for Arsenal. Marley Salmon has put it over the top of the crossbar. I think the Milan goalkeeper Lorenzo Torriani there went to sort of celebrate and then maybe realised, like, he's 15 years old, I probably shouldn't. But Milan have a chance now to win the thing. Got the opportunity to have the last laugh despite losing in 90 minutes against the Gunners, and it's Christian Komoto. Kepa trying to make himself look big on the line. Komoto, right-footed, beats Kepa, and Milan win the shootout. Disappointment for Arsenal in the end when it comes to the spot kicks, although looking at their faces, I don't think anybody's particularly bothered. I'm not bothered. Arsenal have done pretty well over the course of the game, was certainly in control, dominated the game, did brilliantly, in my opinion, for the first real sort of serious, semi-serious pre-season friendly. A little bit unfortunate in the shootout, but it is what it is. Marley Salmon's a young man, and you know he's a real talent, and nobody's going to hold that against him. Nobody's going to make a thing of the fact that he missed the penalty in this shootout under these circumstances. Guys, I want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you to every single one of you who's tuned in. We're very, very close to hitting the 9,000 viewer mark across YouTube and X right now, which is just unbelievable. I can't believe how many people have tuned in. So massive thank you to every single one of you who's chosen to follow the game via this stream. We'll try and do more of these. We'll definitely bring you more of these over the course of the pre-season. Once we get into the season, it's not quite as easy for me to do so. But I'll keep asking the question on the pod, and if you want to see them, we'll do them. For those of you that have subscribed to the channel today, and there's been loads, thank you so much. Make sure you've got your notifications turned on and you come and join us for our podcasts as well as all the other bits and pieces that we do on the channel as well. If you prefer to listen to the podcast in audio format only, you can on Apple or Spotify. Give us a subscribe and a review over on those platforms. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out if you haven't done so already. Check us out on Patreon if you like the content and you'd like to support while getting access to some more stuff and all our episodes ad-free. Really, really appreciate all the love, all the support. Thank you so, so much. And I'll see you all very, very soon with a match review podcast. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Up the Arsenal. Goodbye.